Good morning, guys. This is Gavin here with Ostar Motorsports, and today we're going to be installing a CTS high-flow downpipe on a 2022 Volkswagen GTI. All right, so CTS sells this as a package, and then we're also going to be installing a Unitronic Stage 2 tune. So this cranks up the boost a little bit, and surprisingly, we're looking for close to 100 horsepower gain with this and the tune. So we'll go ahead and get started, get the car up in the air, start taking everything apart. So we're going to start up top. I'm going to pull the engine cover off, and we're going to loosen the downpipe V-band and O2 sensor up top, and then we'll bring it up and finish the installation below. This is nice, cob carbon fiber cover. Very good looking. All right, so I'm gonna pull our O2 sensor off. We're gonna reuse this for the new downpipe. Pull it off right there. And then we have a 22mm spark plug socket. Feed this on. Always a good idea to let these cool off before you touch them. This one's nice and hot. So you put a fan underneath and get everything all cool so I don't burn myself even more. Then we got a 6mm Allen. This is going to be for our V-band right here. Got it on a little 1/4 inch. There we go, got the V-band off. Factory downpipe's loose. There's a bracket down here that holds it, so we don't have a whole lot of play yet. But go underneath, get those brackets off, and then continue. Oh, that looks awkward. Special tool, ladies and gentlemen. Not really. All right, so here's our factory downpipe assembly. It actually runs to almost the middle of the car. It's a pretty long piece. As you can see, our CTS kit is 2 pieces. So I'm gonna try to remove this without dropping the subframe, but if it gives us issues, then I'll drop it a couple inches and let the downpipe slide through here. But for now, a little cross brace. We're gonna undo our clamps and then our other little hanger bracket. These are 13mm, and then 2 more 13s right here. And then 13 for these clamps as well. This car's pretty new, so we don't have a whole lot of rusting on these bolts, but many times you'd put some penetrating oil on there, let it sit for a little while before taking these off. All right, we have 1 bolt right here above the axle. There's just a little bracket that holds the downpipe to the motor. So another 13mm. Easy. Look at that, I can get my fingers on it too. There we are. So our whole assembly should be loose now. There we are. So I gotta pull off this second O2 sensor, and then I might be able to get lucky and sneak this whole thing out of here pretty easily. Let's find out. So we're here up top again. Instead of removing the O2 sensor, I'm just gonna unplug it and then leave it connected to the downpipe. That'll be the easiest way. So I'm gonna pull this little bracket out of its spot. So now that is free. And then we got our connector right up here. Let that free hang down there. And then we will attempt to finagle our downpipe out of this without pulling subframe. There we go. All right, downpipe's nice and loose. Let's go back under, get this thing out. Let's see if we can't finagle this out of here. It's not here. All right, so to give myself a little bit more room, there's this little shield that protects the axle CV boot. So I'm gonna pull the shield off. As you can see, our downpipe is just sitting right on top of it. So it's a 8mm Allen. I have this in a 1/4" ratchet. There's 3 of these. Kind of hard to get to, so I got about a 10-inch extension. Boom. All right, so I tried my hardest to get the downpipe out without it. I'm sure with enough finagling it would come out, but I do not want to risk scratching any of these new parts. So I'm gonna pull this motor mount, and then without fully removing the subframe, I'm just gonna drop the bolts, let it hang on the suspension, and then hopefully that'll give us, a few more inches of clearance to get this whole thing out. So when pulling subframes, this goes for the A3, the GTI, the TT. You have a steering shaft that you don't want to overextend. So we're probably going to be lowering the subframe, maybe 8 or 9 inches. So we're just going to make sure that steering shaft's disconnected so we don't run into any issues. So with the steering shaft disconnected, it's just one 13mm bolt that runs through the little spline clamp. I'm now just gonna take a steering wheel locking tool just so we don't risk having the steering wheel spin 180 and damaging the clock spring. So keep it at that position so that we know where to go when we put it back together. Couldn't quite catch it. There we go. 2 little push pins. This is just a little arrow piece. So there's a hole in the control arm right here to get to the subframe bolt. So I'm just gonna pull these off on both sides. There we go. Loosen it, I'm gonna put it in a couple threads. There we go, one there. Looks like this has less than the Golfs, or than the TTs. All right, now we're gonna very lightly lower this, see how much room we get. Okay, so since we still have a lot of stuff connected, I'm gonna fully remove these subframe bolts. Give this even more droop. Big long boys. All right, let's see if we can go down a little bit more. Look at that. Man, our downpipe might just fall out of here.
Oh no!
Impressive. There we go. There's our factory, whew, still warm. There's our gigantic factory catted downpipe. You see our catalytic material in there. Awesome. So our CTS is going to be 2 pieces, so it's going to be a little bit easier to install. So let's go ahead and throw it in. So here's our comparison too. I mean, the first thing you notice is the sizing is different. This looks to be about 2.5 inches. This goes up to 3 inches. So big size difference. And also you notice this factory cat makes a sharp 90-degree before it comes out. This is a smaller cat, and then we have a much smoother path for the exhaust to travel. Better flow, more gains. But before installing this new downpipe, we're going to utilize our factory little holder. So CTS supplies this little bracket, so all we have to do is drill out these little rivets that hold this in, and then we can reuse this. So I went ahead and did one, so now I'll show you guys that process. So the rivet end is right here. Just gonna go ahead and start drilling it out. Take a little pry bar. There we go. Get that off. A little bit of pry in there. And there's this. I'm gonna put a little bit of WD-40 in there to make this slip off nice. Ooh, that's hot. And then we should be able to pop that right off. Sweet.
Professional here.
Professional. All right, so now we're gonna start installing our new downpipe. Kind of gotta get it in there like this, and then rotate up towards the turbo. So slide this in. And it helps with this one being much more low profile than the factory. We got it in there, no problem at all. Excellent. Now we can raise our subframe back up, hook all these connections up, and continue our process. Okay, so we got our downpipe up here. I'm going to replace this little V-band gasket with a brand new one. Okay, these are single-use gaskets. Most V-band style exhausts have this. So get in there with a little baby screwdriver and start working this thing out. They get all collapsed and small in there, so it's important to replace them so you don't end up with a leak. Here's our old one out. So again, why you replace them, because they fall apart, turn to dust, and do not seal anymore. Brand new ring. This goes on the turbo side. And go ahead and pop it in. We gotta make sure that this stays in place too when we go to the downpipe on. So now with the other hand, reach up, line that bad boy up. Get our V-band close. There we go. And go back in with our bolt. Get this started. Anytime I'm doing downpipes like this, I always like to leave everything loose starting at the turbo, and I tighten everything from the turbo back. So I'm gonna leave this loose just so our downpipe is in place but can still rotate a little bit. And get our O2 sensor back in and hook everything up down below. Here's a good look underneath with the CTS downpipe installed. So we have our little crossover pipe that bolts up to the stock exhaust, a little reducer, and then 2 clamps. We got our new bushing in place to hold this hanger. Subframe is reinstalled. Here's a good final look at everything. Like that, our CTS downpipe is installed, O2 sensor installed, engine's running great. We'll get our laptop plugged in, go ahead and install this Unitronic Stage 2 tune. Here we are inside the car, and what often happens when you install a catless downpipe is the factory computer is looking for this catalyst signal, and when the secondary O2 sensor senses that there's more hydrocarbons coming past the cat, then it'll throw check engine light. So what a lot of these tunes do, including Unitronic, is they remove the tolerance for that secondary O2 sensor, so you will not get a check engine light for catalyst efficiency. So when tuning a DME, it's always a good idea to hook up a battery charger. So that's in case the battery drains during the install, that the DME does not shut off and corrupt the tune file. So we have the battery charger hooked up. We're gonna go ahead and flash this with the Unitronic Stage 2. We are now plugged into the car. We are flashing Stage 2 low torque option with an aftermarket downpipe. So here's the ECU flashing. Many times it takes 15 to 20 minutes on the initial flash. And then once you already have these kind of softwares installed, map switching takes a lot less time. Our file has now been successfully uploaded, so now it asks you to please switch the ignition off and click next to start the ECU reinitialization. Tune file has been flashed, so all there is left to do is fire up the car. Look at that, started right up. Amazing. Here we are inside of the car on the post-flash test drive. So car's running good, no check engine lights. Everything seems to be working in order. And you can already see this tune demands a lot more boost at a lower RPM. So this feels much more powerful all throughout the RPM range.